Welcome to the OtherWorldsGG Community Cast. This is episode number 25 and part 2 of our E3 coverage. I am Table for Two, and of course, I'm being joined by Alien Pickle and Mellified. What's up, fellas?
Howdy.
It's your boy.
Oh my god. We have so much news. It's insane. This happens every year. It shouldn't be a surprise, but holy cow.
Yeah, we're gonna come out of the gate swinging with some of the funny, more ridiculous stuff. So we're gonna start things off with a good laugh, and right out the gate, this made Jeff go. Or Jeff, who the fuck is Jeff? This made Jim. This made Jim go, what? So yes. The official Destiny toaster is real, and you can order one right now. That's right. Get yours today. The Destiny toaster.
I put it in the admin chat.
The what? That's right. If there was ever a meme for this, that would be that. There you go.
So do you get that like with the Xbox mini fridge, or how does this work?
Well, that's the other piece of news is Microsoft has announced Xbox mini fridge to show it's totally okay with the Series X meme. So they actually did. They did a full size refrigerator that was done up like the Series X or whatever it was, and they like sent these to quote unquote influencers to unbox on there. No one was ever gonna buy unless like you're a stupid collector an Xbox refrigerator. But man, you know what? An Xbox mini fridge, I might consider that. Not gonna lie.
Right, because we're not like full size dumb, but we are mini stupid.
That's right. Yes.
A mini fridge like that, you're probably talking $100.
It's great for like putting your energy drinks and sodas in. Like, why not beer? So.
Well, what about a Master Chief toaster, like an actual Master Chief helmet with 2 slots cut in the top? And it's
I've got a Darth Vader one. I literally have a Darth Vader one that says Star Wars on the toast after you toast it. So. Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. It was a wedding gift. I'm not gonna lie. We had it on our registry. Don't kid yourselves. We went there.
So someone spent over $4,000 on a Gucci bag in Roblox. Not an actual Gucci bag, but a digital version in Roblox.
Did it have one of those NFT tags on it?
I don't believe so. So I thought that was the stupidest thing I've heard in a while, so I had to share.
Well, that is really dumb considering the fact that it didn't have like if it had an NFT like associated with it, I might understand that, but I don't.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here?
Yeah.
So the Destiny toaster, all it does, I don't see anything amazing about this. It's just kind of like low effort, right? Like it puts the Destiny logo on your toast. Yeah, and it's just a plastic toaster with some kind of emblem on the side that's like a decal. Wow. Like no effort to that at all. Like no. Like the Master Chief toaster.
Well, you don't like the little sandwich pouch there?
That is pretty dope. I'm going to say like, cuz it protects your toast from the vacuum of space.
Like middle school kids who are like getting their like sandwiches made by their mom or whatever, they're gonna love this right here.
Yeah. Now if it cut the crust off for you, like a little ghost came out and cut the crust off.
There you go.
Guardian, your toast is ready.
Please,
yes,
please.
There you go.
Yeah, we need what's his name, the voice actor guy, to be like the toaster needs to have a voice and it needs to quote frickin' ghost lines from Nolan North. Be like, Guardian, your toast is ready. Guardian, that enemy is toast. Yeah, like come on, Nolan, get it done. Ben Heckle mod this in the future.
Jesus. All right. Well, what else we got here, Mellified? Under the phone? We got 2 more.
Axiom Verge 2 is a one-man developer made game. It is a throwback to the old Metroidvania games. The first one was actually really a lot of fun. Got some really retro vibes going. The sequel, it was announced, is trying something a little bit different. You can actually beat the game without fighting any of the bosses. So if you know where to go and kind of mainline your way through, you can beat the game without taking on any of the big bads. I guess that's a speedrunner thing that would be appealing to, but
yeah. So the developer, I urge you, listeners, not just you, Mellified, but the listeners out there in space, you should go on YouTube and look up the Axiom Verge developer speedrun commentary, right? And watch. He talks while people are speedrunning his game, and he's explaining like his thought process and stuff. And there are actually things that he built into the game that are speedrunner friendly. Like he knew people were going to do it. So not only did I mean not like just, oh, there's a speed run counter kind of thing, but there's speed run mode where it skips all the dialogue, it skips anything that would slow you down on a speed run kind of deal. There's some like speedrunner specific tricks that are in there that he purposefully put glitches in the game for people to exploit, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just a big fan of the way that this guy thinks. So
cool. I wasn't even not aware of the level of complexity that he put into it. So that's really cool. And last but not least, for our funny news this time, the alleged classic Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, which is a just god awful full motion video game that came out originally on the 3DO. It is getting a re-release, so we'll all be able to suffer together. Yay!
Oh, good, said nobody.
Yeah, this one's actually been on ScumVM on their compatibility list for probably a year now, and no one cared.
Are the same guys doing it that did Night Trap?
I don't know, but yeah, they re-released Night Trap too, so I guess all these games are going to get re-released, and we can suffer through terrible green screens.
But will it be will it be a 4K HD super remaster, upscaled whiz bang version?
I am sure that the video for this was recorded on like the cheapest VHS, so it probably could not be upscaled.
Oh,
easily.
I saw somebody had a mod where they restored the video in Wing Commander or something, and it was like Wing Commander 3 or 4. And you remember, like back then, it had to fit on a CD, right? So it was grainy as hell. But then they had like the original pristine like HD video that it was originally shot in, and it was like, oh my god, yeah, it was. I don't know if you can like just get that in the GOG version yet or no, but it's out there. I didn't realize that the source video even existed anymore, because that stuff, if you shoot it digitally and then you compress it and whatever, it's what it is, right? But I guess apparently they preserved the original. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly seen some pretty amazing things with AI upscaling. There was a video, an early film made back at the turn of the century where they had it on a San Francisco street, and that was like AI colorized and upscaled and everything, and looked pretty incredible. So the technology's out there to do it with AI, so maybe that's the way forward for some of these things.
Really... And maybe that's what the guy did that had the video up, is maybe he just AI upscaled what was there, right? But it just looked like, wow, that's the original source. Is how good it looked, right? It was just like, damn.
Fascinating.
It's too bad about the writing, though.
Yeah.
Chris.
Doesn't help the acting any either. But okay. So Microsoft had a ton of news at E3.
They not only had a ton of news, they had an initial big release like thing with Bethesda, and then like 2 days later they had a follow-up show.
Much like us, they had to split the news into 2 episodes.
No, like they really did, because the first one was like an hour and a half, and the second one was equally like as long. But the first show was all about announcements and trailers and all that stuff. And the second one was mostly all about like talking to the developers about the games that were announced in the first show. So like they really split it up.
Well, one of the things that came out of all of this Microsoft news, Microsoft said they want to release a first-party game every 3 months on Game Pass, of course, and on Xbox and PC. So that's really their goal for their first-party studios, is to get on a schedule where they're doing something every 3 months, which is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that's amazing. And to kind of tie into that, they confirmed that 19 games are coming to Game Pass in 2021. But not only that, they did a total of, I think, somewhere like 30 something games that they talked about, and 27 of them in total are going to be coming to Game Pass. So I know 19 of them are going to be coming out here in 2021, but like, of the 30 that they talked about, 27 of them are coming to Game Pass, which is pretty spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, it just reinforces the value proposition for Game Pass. Like, you really have to be, a picky gamer to not find value in Game Pass, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, no kidding, especially with how many games they just keep throwing out there.
Yeah. Well, and remember, all the Microsoft-owned studios are on Game Pass permanently.
Right. And specifically with Bethesda, they added an additional 10 Bethesda games to Game Pass so you can play today.
And what that means, to be clear, like, why didn't they just do that on day one? Well, it's getting a Microsoft Store version of the game. It's getting all of the Xbox achievements if the games didn't have achievements, and getting those implemented in the PC version, because the PC and the Xbox version both get the Xbox achievements added in. So, there is some development work potentially to port these games over to the Microsoft Store on the PC side. Also, you have to support windowed borderless, or borderless windowed, or full screen windowed, or whichever stupid name you want to use for putting the game on your screen as a window, not as a full screen takeover, which allows you to do things like Alt-Tab without having to switch back to the Windows desktop.
Yeah, remind Kitten about that one. All right.
Yeah, I hate regular full screen now, because the monitors are it takes so long for them to resync, and when you do an Alt-Tab from a full screen game, it triggers a resync event on the monitor. So it's like 10-15 seconds, and then it finally goes back to the desktop, and then half the time you can't get back into the damn game.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing that sucks major is when you have multiple monitors and you have a game that wants to only go full screen, and it doesn't start up in the resolution that your desktop is.
Oh.
And then it just like screws up your entire desktop layout on your other monitors.
Yeah,
right?
Valve, what's the deal with your games?
Yes, I've had that as well. So part of this news that I thought was really interesting, Phil Spencer made a comment, and some people took it as a dig at Sony, and I suppose it is. But
I think it's a dig. I think it's a dig at the games industry, really.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's really more just a statement of, this is what Microsoft is doing, and this is how we see the future. They made the comment, they are the only platform shipping games on PC, cloud, and console simultaneously.
Yep.
Now, I would actually argue that's not true, because Ubisoft, if you look at their offerings, they are shipping games on PC, on consoles, and on Stadia and Luna day and date.
Although that's I think that's bending the rules a little bit, though. But you're not wrong. I just think that's a little misleading, because the Stadia and Luna versions of these games typically aren't the same. As where, like, with Microsoft, if I'm getting a game on PC, so like let's talk about that for a second. So like if I'm getting a game on PC that's through Microsoft, I can then go and stream it to my phone. It's still all of my stuff, and I can still play with all the same people that I was playing with before, right? Or, I can go and play it on my console, and it's the same kind of thing. So whether or not I'm playing the PC version of Sea of Thieves, or if I'm playing the console version of Sea of Thieves, whether it be on the One X or the Series X or on the PC, I'm still playing with the same pool of people that I could play with before. Whereas with, if I'm not mistaken, with Stadia, that's not the case.
That's okay. So as you were saying, it depends on the Ubisoft game, because what Ubisoft is doing to address that is they're doing their own cloud save, their own friends systems. And at least on Luna, because I don't use Stadia, I use Luna, which is the Amazon game streaming service that's in beta right now. Luna gives you, on some games, Ubisoft has done the work so that the Luna game is identical to the PC. So if the PC version supports cross-save with Xbox and cross-play with Xbox, then you get that Microsoft-like experience, but it is not consistent, unfortunately, and it is not even all new games after such and such date, because they didn't do it for Watch Dogs Legion, unfortunately, even though they did do it for Rise of the Phoenix, whatever the that's not the right name, Immortal Rise of the Phoenix.
You're right, yeah.
So they're not consistent about it, but it isn't. They're also not the platform holder on the cloud side, obviously, Ubisoft. So, but I mean, it's Don't
close.
Mistake what I'm saying to mean that to take anything away from Microsoft. I think Microsoft is doing it consistently. It's also cross purchase, which Ubisoft is not, right? If I buy a game once on the console, generally speaking, I'm also getting it on PC. So that is something that I think Microsoft's doing that Ubisoft is most certainly not.
And be careful with the way you phrase that too, because you're referencing through the Microsoft interface. So like if I've bought Halo on Steam, that doesn't equate that I have Halo on my Xbox.
That's a very good point. Yes, I was saying if I buy it on console, I get it on PC, but I get it on PC through the Windows Store. If I buy it on PC through Steam, I don't get shit on console. That's true.
That is something to make sure you differentiate, because confusing.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the unfortunate reality of the gaming landscape these days, is there's so many of these little, gotchas. It feels like sometimes it's frustrating.
Well, I mean, Go ahead. Go.
I was going to go on to the next story, so.
Please do.
All right. Well, so one thing that's not a gotcha, Yakuza Like a Dragon is now on Game Pass. That means every Yakuza game is now available in Game Pass and on Xbox and on PC through the Microsoft Store. So this is probably one of the most underrated series, probably because it is so Japanese. It is just like all the goofy, weird, strange stuff. It is a very much an M-rated game series, not one for the kids. But holy smokes, is it a lot of fun, and it doesn't take anything too seriously. Like a Dragon specifically, I've been playing lately, and the main character is a huge fan of Dragon Quest and similar JRPGs. So he sees the world as if he's in a JRPG, even though he's fighting like street thugs. But they'll transform into creepy versions of themselves.
Which is interesting, because Dragon Quest not being a title from that publisher. Right?
From Sega, yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
But they also have a lot of Sega references. Like you can go to the Sega City, which is a Sega arcade, and play full arcade ports of classic Sega games like
Outrun,
Space Harrier, Outrun, in the arcade and in the game. So it's amazing to me the level of detail they do with some of this stuff.
Well, it's amazing to me how weird Japanese video game business is, where the fans, if God forbid you open up a cafe and let people play your Super Nintendo game, they'll come cut your throat, right? But the companies themselves are not afraid to respect and mention and even meme each other in their games, right? But never in like a disrespectful way.
Right. It's an homage.
But it's like Microsoft in a first-party Microsoft title is never going to mention PlayStation, right?
True.
But in Japan, anything goes.
Yeah, and I think that's, probably cultural as much as anything, but I'll save my, armchair psychologist theories for another day.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that they do it. I'm glad that it's there.
Yeah, and so I would say if you like open world games like Grand Theft Auto, if you like humor, if you like Japanese weirdness, if you like turn-based combat, like Yakuza has all of those things, and it remixes them in a fun and interesting way. And even some of the quests are just ridiculous. I don't even want to tell you how much time driving around collecting cans on a bicycle in a recycling mini game to earn enough points to buy tissues, like little, facial tissues like Kleenex, to then take them to complete 7 missions where I had to give them to a guy who was stuck in the toilet with no toilet paper. You're not going to get that
all you can say is that happened.
Yeah,
right. Yes, yeah.
You are never going to play that in a Western game. Like, they're just not going to do it. So, definitely excited to see Game Pass pick up Yakuza, the whole series, but especially Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon's a great place to start. It's the most modern of all the games. It's turn-based rather than real-time combat, which makes it a little bit more manageable. And the last thing I'll say is Yakuza has no connection to the past Yakuza games, which are all one continuous story from 0 to 6. But Like a Dragon, the reason they didn't call it Yakuza 7 is because it kind of starts with some new characters and goes in a different direction with the story, although there are some fun cameos and callbacks for fans of the earlier games. So, whew.
Yeah, I saw some of the characters from the first games was in this one, and it was like, oh, thank God. To just have that bridge in there like that. But yeah, I mean, you were telling me about what was the funky summon? Like, okay, in Final Fantasy, right, they do like some summon, and it's like Doom Train, and then they cut to a cutscene where this train like comes.
Yep.
But in this, it's like he pulls out his cell phone and like calls somebody.
Well, but he pulls out his cell phone to call somebody to come in as the summon, right? But you can't just dial a phone because that's not epic, right? So he does this like dramatic gesture where he rips up the phone and he starts like sliding his finger around and swiping, and there's like the colored trails after his finger because he's moving so fast, and it's such a powerful movement, and it looks like he's casting like a magic spell, but he's just dialing the phone.
It's very anime.
And as you play through the game, you unlock like different characters to be summonable, and one of the ones you unlock is Omelette the Chicken, who is a recurring character in the series, who in this one is the mascot of the chocolate company that you take over and try to rebuild its business. And so Omelette will come and help you, and I think if I remember correctly, he lays eggs that heal and fix your status effects.
You know what's funny about that? You're talking about like the way he's dialing that phone. There's a YouTube channel called Corridor Digital, and they were making fun of this very thing with animes where it was like a fidget spinner battle, and they did like all the like the big slow-mo flashy like adding in all the flair for like no internal dialogue and all that stuff. So yeah, it's very. I love just how Japanese these games are. It's so silly.
Yes, and they have fun with it. Like, it's light. I mean, it's serious, and sometimes the cutscenes can get a little long, as Japanese games, like tell their story in their way. But it has such a joy to it, such a like, just hey, it's a game. We're gonna have fun with it. Like, that's why you're here. Let's do this. Right. That I really appreciate. So. But let's move on to a game which is not known for unicorns and rainbows, Doom Eternal. Although it actually have.
I was about to say, it depends on how you view the demons, I suppose, but yeah.
Well, no, there is actually a Twitch drop costume that was
Doom guy as
Doom Slayer as a unicorn. But that aside, this was just good news. They are updating the Xbox Series version of this game. It'll be getting optimized. The game Doom Eternal will be getting optimized.
Frame rate updates and 4K like updates too. Like it's getting some serious improvements.
Yeah, that drops on the 29th of June.
Yeah, speaking of Doom Eternal, did you watch the trailer for the new Shadow Warrior 3? Because, boy, that looked like Doom Eternal.
I'm just not into it. Like, I'd rather play Doom Eternal.
Yeah, it was like cartoony ass Doom Eternal. Like they changed all the design away from being like gritty, dark, whatever, and it was almost like I don't know. It was like they broke the aesthetic even of their own older games and made it weirder.
The appeal to me of the Shadow Warrior games was always the humor of the character as you're playing, like his little one-liners. So I might still give it a go, but it's interesting to hear that it's gone so far in the direction of kind of the Doom, run and gun gameplay style. That's certainly what I found challenging about the new Necromunda Hired Gun game as well, as it felt very much like Doom Eternal in its play style.
Yeah, the thing that was interesting about Shadow Warrior 2 is how it was almost a Diablo game where, it's very, very like pick up things and plug stuff into your swords and, socketing things and But the problem was there was like an overabundance of loot because it's like I have a giant loot pile. Hold on for 10 minutes while I sort through my stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about this before. Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to the Xbox Series consoles. Microsoft revealed a little bit of information about this at the show, and what they said was it will run at 30 FPS on the Series X and S, but if you have a variable refresh rate monitor or TV, it will be able to go higher than that. So definitely another reason to have a VRR display, which is also known as AMD's branding for it was FreeSync. So this is the same technology as FreeSync, but the VRR is the standard beta standard for it. So
right, which was a clone of G-Sync. So
well, not clone, because it doesn't use extra hardware in the display.
Well, I mean, you get the same effect.
Yes,
different method. So
yes.
Sure.
So anyway, I was interested to read this because I was debating on reinstalling Microsoft Flight Simulator on my new computer, and I think this kind of pushed me over the edge to doing so because I have the 3080 Ti in my desktop, and so I'll get probably a better than 30 FPS the.
Well, let me know when you do that, because a buddy of mine was showing me NeoFly, which is a plugin for it, so it puts like a career simulator into Flight Sim 2020, which it so desperately needs, right?
Yes.
So it's nice that people are building that stuff and bolting it on. And then, like if you want real air traffic control, you can actually, there's another service, right? And one thing that I saw that was really interesting in the official presentation was they said in the next patch, well, not the next one, because it's going to be like an update to Germany, but the one after that. So sometime before the end of the year, they're putting in like a tour mode. So it'd be like, hey, I'm flying over New York City, and then certain specific landmarks actually have like a waypoint on them. And as I get close to it, then I'll get like a narrator that comes on. And there's already a third-party service that does that on their website. I can't remember for the life of me what the name of it is, but it's out there, right? So if you are flying and you install their plugin, then it'll basically like podcast on demand, pull this audio into your game.
I am. That sounds fantastic. I will admit that I am already overwhelmed with the stuff I need to do to fly the plane. So the idea of like doing anything else is a little much for me, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Well, you don't have to interact with it; it just happens, kind of thing.
Fair
you
enough.
Just got to install them, whatever. But yeah,
fair enough. Our next story. This one, I have used the Xbox Design Lab in the past. This allows you to go on and design your own controller. basically Microsoft has all the shells, you know, for the controllers, all the components, and then they allow you to put them together with different colors and different combinations and make a fully custom controller.
Now, if they'd let me do like a micro switch D-pad and stuff, then we could talk.
Yeah, this is more just aesthetics.
Yeah, I want six.
Well, you can also
six face buttons and a micro switch D-pad, and I'm gonna.
You can also
the fight stick.
The thing that I love about this, there's two things I love about this. One is they've added in the 360 era style ABXY as an option for your buttons, so that I really like that aesthetic because it's a little bit more retro. So, and the other thing too is I love the fact that you can engrave it. So like you can actually put like your gamer tag like on your controller.
Yep. Yeah, and this is the series controller, so it has the share button on it. It's got a little bit tighter, you know, D-pad. They let you colorize the back and the front differently, which is new. Versus the Xbox One version of this. So yeah, they I mean, you know, I did this for my kids for one Christmas a couple years ago, and they really dug the controllers that they got. They got to pick them out, and we ordered them, and they showed up for Christmas, so that was really fun. But if you're interested, they exist. You can get them.
Yeah, right, I dig it.
So, did either of you guys look at Forza Horizon 5 much?
I watched everything about that. I am super excited for Forza Horizon 5. Everything about it just yells, I want to play it. The fact that they're going to Mexico is really cool. They're going a little bit more open world with it than before, and by that I mean like it's always been kind of like an open world game, right, where you can just drive around. But what I mean by that is they're doing more with player interaction with stuff. So like the players in the world are going to be a little bit more real time than in the past, because like in the past it's kind of like they're kind of like shadows of other players. They're not really players that you know necessarily. Like the way they talked about it was way more real time interaction. So
they sort of faked it in the previous games, I think is what you're getting at, right?
Right. Yeah.
You would have drivatars, which was, hey, we did, you know, data analysis of the way you drive, and we made an AI that drives like you, and then we'll put that in your friends' games.
Right.
That's a curse to all my friends too.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
and
it's funny. It's funny because what that leads to is moments like, you know, if you've ever woken up and your wife's mad at you because she had a dream where you did something. I've gotten mad at friends because of what their drivatar did to me in the game. Like, yeah. Dude, you ran me off the road. I was gonna be finishing first, and you pushed me. He's like, dude, I wasn't playing. I was playing Destiny. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, yeah, but it was your name on there, you know. So it does work, but it's not the same as being actually in there with the real person. So that's
right.
Definitely cool that they're going that direction.
Well, and
Mexico's really interesting setting too, I thought. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say some of the other things too that they're talking about this as well is like the ability for players, like you can make your own maps and stuff like that and races and whatnot. So I was really excited about that because they showed off kind of like the wackadoo things where it's like giant pinballs, or not pinballs, but bowling pins. That you can like interact. So the first thing that came to my mind is this is Forza / Microsoft's answer and reaction to Rockstar's racing stuff, because Rockstar's racing stuff gets really wacky and silly, and there's tons of player created like race maps and stuff like that. I feel like we're going to start seeing a whole new thing with Forza Horizon 5 in that same vein, where you're going to have, because they even talked about that too. They talked about their arcade stuff, right? So like you can do like there's like a piñata thing where like you can just start up an arcade piñata thing where it's just like try and crush as many piñatas as you can in a certain time frame with your friends, right? So they're adding in more arcadiness and more silliness and more fun to the race element, while also still having the race element, right? So yeah, I think this is a smart move, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it, because I've been loving 4 a lot. So,
Well, and I feel like too they can get away with being arcadey because they have the actual Forza Motorsport, which is the serious sim racer. And
I would like to
helps
see
differentiate them.
I would also like to see a little bit more crossover with that. I think something that Jim has pointed out in the past too is, can we have some like actual like racetracks? And I think the player created stuff is going to help with that.
Yeah. Well, it certainly opens the door. One of the things that stood out to me about this announcement was they're doing seasons again. So that was the big feature of 4 was every week it would change between summer, spring, winter, fall. And that created some interesting dynamic aspects to the game. England, is maybe a little bit dry, and so and dry. What I mean is it's a little bit samey, right? There's not the dramatic difference between desert and mountains and all these things. So they tried to sort of inject that with the was it Fortune Island expansion that they did for Forza 4. To give you some more dynamic places to go, but Mexico naturally gives you that, and I'm really excited to see how that works.
I wonder if they're gonna have a mode in there where you have to like run from the cartel.
Probably not, would be my guess. It's a little more family friendly, but yeah, I think that might not play well. But one of the things that they did with this, with 5, in the past, weather was universal. So if it was raining everywhere on the map. Now they're actually going to have the ability for like localized weather and for like a storm to roll through. And so I feel like that's kind of an interesting element that's never really been done before. We'll see how it kind of plays in the game, I guess.
That could be kind of neat. I hope that we get to like, I don't know, jump off of pyramids and stuff. They got Aztec pyramids, right? So yeah, we could totally.
Well, and that's the thing is they have so many more opportunities, I think, to do different things. Obviously, the developers are based in England, so I think they maybe looked at that as returning home when they did 4. But I think Mexico will be a great locale. There's one other note that I wanted to make. If you have Game Pass, you get this game for free. However, one of the staples of the Forza games are the upgrades. They've got DLC packs, there's car packs, there's more car packs, there's all kinds of stuff. And so you don't get any of that with the base version of the game. There is a paid upgrade to the premium edition. So if you plan on keeping Game Pass, you'd be buying that upgrade for like $45 or $50. No, 45 instead of the full price of the game, which is 100. So I think this brings up something, Jim, that you and I talked about on Discord, which is kind of the weirdness of not owning your games anymore, but having to buy DLC.
Yeah, it's like the game could go away, but then I have DLC that I can't play. So then I have to obtain the game instead of like for things that leave Game Pass, but things that are first party you're never leaving Game Pass, so those are the safe bets.
But if you let your Game Pass expire, you no longer have the game, but you've paid for DLC for it, which is definitely a little strange to me. In the past, Microsoft kind of hinted that Ultimate would give you some DLC, but that at least hasn't been the case so far outside of a few very specific things. So
right. Yeah, and speaking of Ultimate, so whenever Forza comes out, they will have the Ultimate Edition, which is basically the game, the DLCs, and the car packs, because the DLCs aren't the car packs. So, and also other thing that's interesting in that is if you get the Ultimate Edition, you get a money boost so that you actually earn income faster in the game. So it's a progression thing as well, which is kind of strange. But yeah, just be prepared. Day one to get the full ride is going to probably be $120, I think, for the like Turbo Ultimate whatever edition. And they're now on Forza 4. They're coming out with car packs that aren't part of the Ultimate.
The car pass. Yeah.
So it's like, right. So then it's like, oh, well, hey, you want these 5 cars, you got to pony up $7. And I'm like, I don't need those so much. And the reason that I don't need them is my other beef with the game is because you can upgrade any car into like a super like S2, like 1,000 point car, right? So and as we have seen with that like little Tykes car that's so hilarious, and then we put like a V12
like a V,
in it.
Yeah, I was about to say some stupid engine.
Yeah, it's a 4-wheel drive car with 3 wheels, and you can you can do just completely stupid shit to those cars. But because you can do so much to them, then they lose the appeal of being the car, right? It's just like it's generic at this point because this is no different,
They lose that distinctiveness for sure.
Right. So it's kind of like Ford versus Ferrari. Excellent movie, by the way. But it's like if I race an F-140 versus a Ferrari, or no, that is a Ferrari. Anyway, a Ford versus a Ferrari. If I race those two cars, I'm going to have a different experience. But they're an equal car. They're competitive with each other, but they're going to have a completely different personality on the road. And that's kind of missing here because it just comes down to like stat numbers. Well, this thing's braking is a 7, the other one is a 7.2, but I can take it up to 10 with mods because whatever, so then all my cars are 10 in all stats, and it's dumb.
Well, and I've heard this criticism before, and I think the thing that stood out for me the most was some of these mods are just not realistic. They're not even physically possible. And so if you made a little more effort to like put reasonable limitations on the modding that you could do, that would help. Where you started with a VW Bug, you're never going to get it up to an S2. It's just not going to be that car, no matter how big.
If the mods I could do were actually what I could do, like if I went and bought that car, these are the things that I could do to that car for real. Yeah, let me do it, but make them cost what they'd actually cost. Right. And there's trade-offs to these things, right? But it's also a thing like in the Forza, like the mainline series where it's just like Forza 6, Forza 7. In those games, because you're track racing and it's competitive, they have that homologation for the cars. So it's like to be in this race, your car has to be an A rank 800 car.
Yep.
So you hit the button, it builds the standard A rank 800 point version of that car, and that's the thing you're allowed to take into the race. So yeah, you have the ability to customize up the cars and stuff, but if you actually want to race with other people, you're going to have the exact same version of that car as everybody else, and it won't be the same as some other manufacturer because those are so they actually retain personality. So Horizon just needs to kind of take some of that, and but also the thing of I wish Horizon like they're putting this track editor thing in. That's great. That means we can make our own stupid Matchbox loop-de-loops and corkscrew crap and whatever. Cool, right? But what I would really like to do is, hey, we're in Mexico. Let's have racetracks from Mexico. Like I can actually drive across the map over to, whatever racetrack that is really there and race on it, right? Or whatever. And that way you could actually have like the Mexico circuit, which is real tracks. And in addition to all the street race crazy that goes on, so that's cool. And they could incorporate that into the festival gameplay because there could be events at the tracks, whatever. Because there's a lot of racetracks in Mexico. And then whenever you go to Britain in the last game, there's a lot of racetracks in Britain, famous ones, right? So why not celebrate those in the context of the country that they're in? Because in a normal race game, it's all tracks from all around the world and whatever. And then the lesser tracks that are in that country, like you'll in a mainline race game, you'll get 1, maybe 2 tracks from a country, but there could be 100 that are really there, right? Like, nobody ever simulates the little track that's down the road from me here in North Carolina, but it's kind of cool. So since they're in Mexico, let's highlight the lesser known tracks that are still pretty great and whatever. So that would be a nice thing. They don't listen to the show, so that won't happen, but whatever.
Well, I think, and the reason they don't, I suspect, is because they don't actually do a real map of whatever country they're in, right? They do a inspired by, which is
they could actually have the real track though, because they have the frickin' track for the other game. So it's not really a big deal to port it over. And then for some of the other tracks, it's just make the track.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there are some licensing issues involved, but I'm sure.
Or how about this? They have the community thing, right? So people can make stuff and trade. So if they allow me to actually go in and make a realistic track, not just some Matchbox shit, then I could go in and say, hey, here's the track in my hometown in Mexico. Bang, there it is, right? As accurate as I can get it. Okay, cool. And then you've dodged all the licensing problem because the community made it.
That makes sense. We'll see.
It depends on what they give us, basically, what we can do with it.
For sure. And I'm enthusiastic. I really thought that 3 was a great game. 4 was even better, although it had some weird choices around the 5-hour tutorial and things like that.
Yeah, that was strange. But yeah.
But I'm hoping 5 will really pull it together and be firing on all cylinders. All right, so Hunter, you mentioned earlier that you were keeping an eye on Halo Infinite.
Yeah, so yeah, this is actually quite interesting, and I'm excited and very cautious all at the same time, right? So Halo Infinite's going to do something very similar to what the Call of Duty franchise recently has started doing, which is they're going to release... Well, okay, so Call of Duty did their Battle Royale Warzone, right? So Warzone was free, but if you wanted to get the actual multiplayer and the campaign, you had to buy those additional things. Well, Halo's not going to have a Battle Royale, at least not that we know of in the future, but they're releasing their multiplayer for free. Not just like, base level free and then you can pay for whatever. No. It's free. It's free for everybody on the console. It's free for everybody on the PC. And then everything that you get through the game, which is cosmetic, you are able to unlock it in the game. There's not going to be any kind of like paid to unlock all these things. The only way you can get these things is by playing the game to unlock them. Which
so how do they make money on the game?
Hold on. So
I'm getting the whole campaign and the multiplayer and all the cosmetics. No,
hold on. You didn't hear what I said. They're releasing the multiplayer for free.
Oh no, I thought that they said in the thing that the campaign was in it too.
No, you have to buy the campaign. So if you want to play through Halo Infinite campaign, you have to buy that, but the multiplayer portion is going to be free to play. And I suspect they're probably going to do some similar stuff with it, even though there's not going to be any loot boxes. They are doing the Battle Pass. Now, the nice thing about the Battle Pass system, though, that they're doing, which I wish other games would do, is the Battle Pass lasts forever. So maybe if you missed part of a season of a Battle Pass, you can actually go back and play through that Battle Pass and unlock those things from that Battle Pass, which is good. So it gives people the opportunity to keep trying to unlock those things, because people love achievements. They want to unlock stuff. So if they've missed an opportunity, it's kind of like, well, thanks guys, but I'd really like to go back and be able to unlock those things. Now you can. Now you can choose which battle pass that you're going to play through. So that's probably where they're going to start making some of their money, is by doing the battle pass stuff and do special event things that you can buy into. But the way that they're making them sound is they're going to be a one-time purchase kind of scenario. And I'm sure they're probably going to have some kind of maybe premium thing, or maybe they're going to come out with some kind of thing for it. But I'm pretty excited about this because it's going to open up the door for way more opportunities. So I'm pretty excited about it. Which also means too that because of the way Microsoft is doing their ecosystem now, they're doing away with the whole thing. So if there's a game that is free to play, you don't need gold to play it. It is literally free to play. So go play online with your friends. Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to be free to play. So if you don't have Game Pass, if you don't want to, you can still play this with your friends. It's another gateway drug to get you onto Game Pass. I guarantee you that's what they're going to do with this.
If you have an Xbox but you don't have Game Pass, you don't deserve friends. So Because you're just dumb.
Yeah. So, but I suspect they're going to do some more stuff with it. But the Halo Infinite beta starts testing this summer, so be on the lookout for that. I'm looking out for it because I love this kind of stuff. So I'm a Halo fan. I actually have a buddy who's an even bigger Halo fan than I do. He has a huge Halo collection. I mean, he has like every iteration version of Halo 1 from like all the different countries and stuff like that. He actually has an Instagram page called Halo Fan 04. Go look him up. He posts one new like Halo thing a day in his collection. It is ridiculous.
So has he got like a Halo collection action figure display room and stuff?
Yeah, his collection is obnoxious, bro. Like I've never seen someone with more Halo stuff than this guy.
Yeah, and Duplo's like, that's our audience.
So
or Megablox or whoever the hell made the.
Pretty excited for the Halo stuff because I mean, literally without Halo, we wouldn't be here in this Xbox phase right now. So I got to give it up to the Halo guys. So I'm pretty excited for some. And the nice thing about the Halo Infinite thing, I just want to point this out. One of the developers for Halo ODST and Reach, like one of the original Halo developer guys before 343 came in, has come back to Microsoft and is working on this new Halo stuff. So like that's something to kind of also be aware of. They have an original Halo guy kind of working on the new Halo stuff. So,
and Mike Pondsmith might come back because after Cyberpunk, he's looking for something to do.
So
I don't know if you knew, but he worked on the original Halo. Just kind of FYI, cool story.
Interesting. I was gonna say, to be fair, 343, when Bungie split from Microsoft, 343 was founded by the people who stayed with Microsoft and didn't go with Bungie to work on Destiny.
I mean, so, some of them, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, this guy's come back, so I mean, he's kind of like he was one of like he was
OG,
right, and he was like one of the guys that was instrumental in like the original Halo's kind of like content, and so I mean, he's a pretty instrumental guy. I forget his name, but he was all over the Microsoft Bethesda like press stuff for Halo Infinite. So
cool. Starfield is the Skyrim in space, as it's been sort of dubbed. Todd Howard, the head of Bethesda, said that it's a bit more hardcore than some of the other Bethesda RPGs, which I thought was an interesting statement. We knew this was coming. We also suspected, but it was confirmed at E3 that it will be an Xbox PC exclusive, no PS4 version. Sorry, Sony.
Yeah, and I wonder if the backward compatibility to the Xbox One, not Series X, is gonna kind of hinder it some. Like, at what point do you just cut it and say, "Look, man, next gen is the only gen"?
One thing that they've talked about is giving a year. I think it was 2 years of support to the original Xbox One. So this may just eke out over. This may be the first game that drops support for the original Xbox One and even the Xbox One S. And that would be a way around that. I don't know. I mean, they've certainly never promised that you'll be able to play every new game on the Xbox One original system. They've always said that there will be a cutoff. So
yeah, there's gonna have to be because it's not in a good position.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, it's going to impact the original design, which will impact the entire life cycle of the game. So if it has to ship on that old platform, right? It's kind of like Cyberpunk, right? Where we saw like Cyberpunk came out on PC, it looked pretty cool. And then whenever it came out on the old consoles, it was like, wow, that's the worst thing that's ever been. And then like on the next gen consoles, it was just like a port of the previous gen consoles, so you didn't get any improvement kind of thing. And that was like why Sony delisted their ass. And right, so which I heard they're coming back actually next month.
Yeah, that's coming up in our Sony news. But yes, Cyberpunk will be back. I said this I think 2 shows ago, maybe now, that I was kind of waiting for the definitive edition of Cyberpunk, which was supposed to be coming out this summer, to play it. and that's still my plan. I don't know when definitive.
You might wait a while.
Maybe, but I'll play it on Xbox Series X when that version, the definitive version, is when they were going to do a new console specific update. So that's what I'm waiting for.
And I hope, they have a new update that's coming, and the last couple of patches, I read through the patch notes, and I was just kind of like, well, this fixes like little glitch things or whatever, but it's not like the Final Fantasy Online makeover that this thing needs.
Right.
And I just feel like there's systems that are kind of half baked in the game that aren't necessary. They could just dump them rather than leave them dangling, kind of bleeding. So like chop some stuff, go to the editing room and chop, and then make what remains great, and we're good. I feel so.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, but I'm wondering though, with Sony talking about relisting them, is this because of some promise that they made to Sony about what the content of some Messiah patch is going to be right before it gets relisted? Because maybe that relisting is going to get delayed, because they're going to have to like prove it to Sony before Sony really pushes the button and brings them back. We shall see.
Yeah, I think Sony's delisting was a PR move for Sony more than anything. They got a lot of bad press from No Man's Sky and had to issue refunds, even though that was not their policy because so many people were upset.
Yeah, well, it kicked the shit out of CD Projekt's stock when they did it. Like CG Projekt lost like $1 billion overnight, something like that. It was like, ooh, but that's not money that's in your hand. That's like market play money.
Yeah.
So it's not really like they felt it. They kind of did, but whatever. But yeah, it's not like somebody came in and actually like punched out half the devs or anything. But I think it sent a message like, don't screw around. And but I have seen so much churn go on with CD Projekt in the last 6 months. It's like everybody that's supposed to be working on that Messiah patch has gone like to Witcher 4 or whatever the hell they're doing. They've shifted people all over the place. So it's kind of like, well, I don't know what you guys are going to deliver because you had all that tribal knowledge that was on this. Now you just scattered everybody and had a bunch of people leave, and so it didn't sound like it was making a better situation.
Yeah, well, I'm got my fingers crossed they kind of pull it together. Certainly, they did a lot with Witcher 3 after it released to make it even better. So I'm kind of hopeful that they can do that again.
Perhaps it will be breathtaking.
Moving on, Age of Empires 4 has a release date and lots of Joan of Arc. This was coming out of E3, the new version, the new RTS looks really good. It kind of looks like you'd expect. I know the release date's the end of October. Not sure what else to say. If you've played Age of Empires, this looks like an even better, more exciting version of it, but I don't really know how to parse it other than that.
Yeah, it's like more of that plus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess is it going to be more like Age of Empires 2 or 3? Because
2.
Okay, because that's the line. Because they did like such a radical departure in 3 that people didn't dig it.
Yeah, from what I understand, they're kind of going back to 2, and this is more of a true sequel to 2. But
it's kind of like the Diablo issue.
Yep.
Yeah, very Diablo 2 to 3.
Well, and the thing is Diablo 3 wasn't necessarily that bad. It just was not what people were looking for because 2 is so good. And it's kind of interesting that Diablo 4 is rumored to go back to that form factor, and they're re-releasing 2 for that matter. So it's like,
I keep wondering where the hell is the phone version? Like, I've been waiting for that.
The beta's out. There's people on Twitch who play in the beta. So if you want to know more about it, go check it out. It's there.
There was such a stench about it that I really actually am curious about it. Like, did they actually make something to redeem all that bullshit or not?
I mean, people are playing it, and it looks like a mobile version of 3. If you want me to be honest, I mean, it looks like 3 but mobile.
What's crazy to me is how long it's taken them to ship it, considering it's a reskin of an existing game. Like it's not like Blizzard made it up from nothing. They took somebody else's game and are putting a Diablo skin on it.
Right. Yeah, it's not like a port of 3. It's some other game. It would be like take Genshin Impact and then stick Diablo textures on it. Pow, yeah. We're done. Yeah.
Yeah, so why the hell is it taking so long? But at any rate. Hunter, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna blaze through a few of these.
Do it. Blaze through.
Arcane's next game is called Redfall. It is a Left 4 Dead style shooter with magic and vampires, which sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it looks cool. Arcane's got quite the track record at this point, so fingers crossed. We got some updates on the next Grounded update. Obsidian announced about a month ago that they were going to be doing fewer but bigger updates for Grounded as they kind of move forward with more content. So this is kind of a preview of the next big drop for it. We need to get back to this game, guys, because I keep hearing about all the cool stuff they're doing. It sounds like it's just leaps and bounds better than the last time we played. So
yeah, I really want to take another dive into it. So I'm game.
We are getting an open world snowboarding game called Shredders from Microsoft. Psychonauts 2 is still alive and kicking, and it is coming soon. So we'll be getting that later this year, I believe it is. We got an announcement of Outer Worlds 2. No real details on it. One not surprising thing was that it will not be coming to PlayStation consoles, so you can play it on PC or Xbox. Didn't surprise me. I guess some people were hoping that maybe because it was a sequel, but why the hell would Microsoft buy Bethesda to sell PlayStation games? Doesn't make sense. Microsoft officially announced an xCloud streaming stick. So this is like a little Roku or Chromecast, but it will allow you to stream xCloud on a device. They're also going to be bringing it to smart TVs as an application, so you may not even need the streaming stick.
Right. Though, and the way I understood it was like if you already have a TV, in other words, like, and you don't want to they're doing this for existing stuff, but then they're trying to partner with newer TVs to release like a localized app. This is one of the things that I was talking about, where it's just like Nintendo and Sony they're going to have a hard time competing. If Microsoft gets so saturated in the market with this stuff, like, it's going to be so hard for Sony and Nintendo to keep up.
If people wonder why we're not talking about Nintendo, it's because Nintendo said that nobody's allowed to talk about their conference.
And then there's that. We'll get to that, but yeah.
And a reminder from last episode, we don't have a ton of Sony news, not because we're trying to ignore Sony, but as of when we're recording this, Sony hasn't done their big event where they make all their announcements yet. So stay tuned for that. We'll try and cover that next time. Last but not least, for the Microsoft section of the show notes here, Sea of Thieves is getting a crossover with the Pirates of the Caribbean series.
Finally.
Finally. Annoying Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
No, I'm absolutely loving this. I love fantasy pirates, and I was like, why is there not more Pirates of the Caribbean stuff in here? Like, why isn't there more kind of like that kind of vibe? Like, it's definitely got the fantasy stuff going on, but like, I felt like it was missing something, and I feel like this partnership with Disney to bring Pirates of the Caribbean stuff into Sea of Thieves is a perfect fit. And later on this month, as a matter of fact, as of recording this, next weekend, I believe, is when it'll be out, and I'm going to be playing, so I'm looking forward to it.
So as you're listening to this, we're playing it.
Quite basically. Possibly, yeah.
I want that game, but I want without Johnny Depp. Like everything else about Pirates of the Caribbean, just not his character.
Well, they're adding in a whole bunch of stuff, so his character's going to be in it, but there's going to be like other. I think they're adding in a whole bunch of like new locations. There's a ton of content that was kind of hinted at, like even like land-based content. It looked like they're adding in like small little towns, and it looked quite interesting based on what I saw. So this is all speculation, but I'm really curious. So
yeah, fantasy pirates is way cooler than real pirates. I'll give you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and this is a freebie for Disney, right? Because no one gives a shit about Pirates of the Caribbean. They ran the franchise into the ground with the later movies.
Oh my god!
And yeah,
the first
people do.
The first like two, and I'll even just say the first just trilogy was fine. Specifically the first one the most, but like the first trilogy was fine, and then they kind of kept going with it, and you're just like, please stop, just stop.
Well, and Johnny Depp even said, like, I don't think they're good movies, but I do it because my kids like the universe, so they love that I play Jack Sparrow, so I'm just going to keep doing them. Which, when your lead is like, it's a piece of shit, but I'm going to do it anyway, like, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy there, Disney, but anyway.
Yeah, I do it for my kids, and that's it.
Yeah. So, all right, well, let's move on to Sony news. Jim kind of previewed our first story that Cyberpunk 2077 will be returning to the PlayStation Store. As of this, it was supposed to be next week, which I think is in a few days. I think it's like Tuesday. I'm trying to find.
I call it less a preview and more of an intentional leak.
Sure. I mean, it's good. I'm glad that it's coming back. It sounds like they've maybe got some of the performance issues under control. I hope that this is a lesson to the entire industry to not ship stuff before it's ready, because that is worse. Whatever your financial situation, whatever's going on, I guarantee you it is worse to ship a bad game, a broken game. Please don't do it. All right. Hunter, you and I and Jim have talked about crossplay, and I think it's fair to say won't shut the hell up about it. Is that a good summary?
Yeah,
accurate.
Shut the hell up.
Well, the reason I bring it up is I am always excited when I see games getting crossplay, especially co-op games, because holy cow, I just want to play with my freaking friends. So, out of the recent lawsuit Sony. Between Epic and Apple and Google, it became known that Sony was charging developers a pretty handsome royalty fee for crossplay, tied to revenue per unit and things like that on different platforms. So as a result of this, basically the Gearbox CEO came out and said, hey, we would love to support crossplay on PlayStation, but our publisher won't let us. So Borderlands 3 will not be crossplay with PlayStation, unfortunately.
Okay, and I feel that is the correct move. Is crossplay should be all systems but Sony, and that's exactly what should be on the box. Crossplay except for PlayStation.
Well, and they kind of have to, right? Because Sony's charging so much money to add crossplay, charging the publisher so much money. They don't have a choice. I feel like that's not.
Yeah, and that's the negative PR in every game release that Sony needs to just continue to beat them with it, is just like available crossplay except for PlayStation.
Absolutely. And so that's the hope, is that we will see Sony get their hat out of their ass when it comes to this. But yeah, I'm glad this happens. It sucks for Sony that they're not going to play in the pool with all the other kids, but Sony needs to fix it. All right.
There's just so much about Sony, man. I'm sorry. I just
well, and this next story, this one gets me fired up. So Sony, at least the community, the Sony fans, the PlayStation fans, loved bashing Microsoft and Xbox before the new consoles launched, because they were saying, well, all of your games on Xbox are going to be cross-gen games, so they're going to be worse on the new console than they could have been, right? And even Jim, you were talking about this a little bit earlier. There's always that fear. And Sony doesn't even guarantee or doesn't even give you cross-generation upgrades. If you wanted the new Spider-Man, you had to go buy it again, right? They did do it for Final Fantasy, but that was Square, not Sony. So Sony's always had this weird relationship, and it came out of E3 that God of War 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and Gran Turismo 7, they're arguably three of their biggest franchises right now, are all going to be cross-gen. So you'll be able to get them for PS4 or PS5, and not clear whether they're going to do we buy it once, you get it on both, or if it's going to be console-specific versions. But clearly, they're not quite committed to the PS5 like they sort of were implying earlier on, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Another bit of news: Godfall. This was one of the PS4, and it was exclusive to PS4 on the consoles. It also came out on the Epic Store on PC. Did not do very well, I think it's fair to say. Did either of you guys play this one? I never did.
I watched enough of it being played to be like, well, it's kind of like a Warframe, like sword fighting game thing. Okay, whatever. I don't need that in my life. And I heard it was kind of samey, repetitive, short, maybe mercifully short. I don't know. I didn't hear any good things at all from it.
Yeah, I never did, and I never really paid too much attention to it as a result, but it is coming to PS4 now. Okay, for, whatever that's worth. So another cross-gen release.
Will it have crossplay?
That I don't know from
Probably not. It's a joke. Like that game has no money. They can't afford to pay Sony for crossplay.
Oh, yeah. Well, that one within the PlayStation ecosystem, that's okay, right? Playing PS4 to PS5, Sony likes that. They just don't like you playing with Xbox.
Well, like I was saying last episode, Japanese developers do nonsensical shit. And sometimes they do amazing stuff, and sometimes they do things that are just like, wow, I don't understand the logic of why you did that. So
yeah, well, this specifically is pulling on a thread that I've argued with some folks that I know who are big PlayStation fans, talking about, oh, the Xbox doesn't have any exclusives because everything's on PC. I'll just play it on PC. It's like, sure, if you have a PC, then you're free to play it on PC. But if every game that comes out for PS5 from Sony is also going to be on PS4, most people can't even get a PS5 right now. So why ever get a PS5? Like, at what point are we going to start seeing these amazing next gen releases for PS5 that they've been bragging about? Because I can play amazing quality games on Xbox Series X right now, but Hunter can still play them on his Xbox One X, and they look as good as the hardware will allow in both cases. And like, it's not the way it should be, is that the game scales to the hardware it has available. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, and that's why I hate the idea of, like, I bought the new console, but I have to play the old version just ported forward with no improvement. That's not great, right? And that's been a lot of the PS4 to PS5 stuff. And with Microsoft, though, surprising to me, like, how much of their E3 presentation was, hey, let's show you a game from a year or two ago, but now with 120 hertz support and HD and ray tracing, kapow. But there's like, okay, it's Doom. I've seen Doom. I saw it 2 years ago, guys. So, but I was surprised that
you're like, I ain't seen Doom like that though.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that they actually took time to treat them like new games, as opposed to, oh yeah, and we did the whatever, here's a montage of like 20 games that all got this upgrade. But they actually individually talked about the games instead. I guess, padding their conference out. I don't know.
Maybe. I think some of it is a lot of us have backlogs, right? There are probably a lot of people who never quite got around to Doom Eternal. Part of it is this also affects multiplayer. So being able to play the game in 4K 60 multiplayer is actually a selling point if you're still interested in playing that game online with people. So I think that's some of it, and at least with Doom, they are seemingly doing a battle pass type. Doom Eternal, they're doing a kind of a battle pass thing. So that helps justify the investment, I suppose. All right. Last but not least on the Sony front, the PSVR came out several years ago for the PS4, and it is compatible with the PS5. Excuse me. It is compatible with the PS5. I haven't tried to hook mine up to my PS5 for some technical reasons, but gosh, the PSVR 2 has long been rumored. There's a report that it is coming the end of next year, so end of 2022, and will have 2 4K OLED screens, one per eye, which would be a nice big visual upgrade over the current PSVR. To me, the selling point of the PSVR was always cost, right? If you wanted to get in on VR, you could buy a relatively, higher end PC plus a headset, or you could buy a $400 PS4 and the PSVR for, $200 to $400, depending on when you get it on sale and stuff. So that was a lower cost of entry if you wanted to dabble in VR. 4K OLED screens per eye sounds kind of expensive, and I don't really know how this competes with the Quest at $300, $400 when you can play the Quest without a console. I don't know. I'm not seeing it, I guess. What do you guys think about this? You guys are both now Quest owners like I am.
I think the fact that Sony is the only console that really is dealing with the VR thing, when you look at the market, on most VR users are on the PC, and with the whole thing with the Quest and stuff like that, I don't know. I used to have some respect for Sony as a general gamer, even though I wasn't in their ecosystem. I still respected what they were doing. I just don't think anything that they're doing or anything that they have going on is anything remotely interesting or worth my time. Because it's so limited and it's so locked into their ecosystem. Because when you buy PSVR, you are only getting the VR stuff that's coming out there, right? Now, technically, you can take that PSVR and hook it up to your PC, right? Technically, there's some workarounds for it, right? But, at the end of the day, with my Oculus Quest 2, I can do everything that's on the PC, not just stuff that's on Steam or whatever, but any third-party thing or any indie developed thing, any random anything that's VR. I can do it on the PC. Plus, it's got its own ecosystem, so where I can take it with me and travel and play VR stuff wherever I go. But you just have so many more options on the PC platform. There's a ass load of items to play. Pardon the expression, but I don't know. Sony just.
I think it's gonna come down to price point, right? If I'm already having to buy a $400 or $500 console, and then you want me to buy a $400 headset, that does not compete against the $300-$400 Oculus Quest. It just does. Oculus Quest 2, excuse me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not even close.
So that's the part I just can't reconcile in my head, is how they get dual 4K OLED screens down to a price point where it actually makes sense. And maybe they just don't care. Maybe they don't figure they're competing, that, PlayStation will be enough of its own ecosystem that they can just live in their little bubble with VR, but I think most gamers are going to compare it to what else is available and go elsewhere, frankly.
Yeah, and the fact that their options are so limited, because like you said, when you buy into the PSVR, you're buying into the PSVR ecosystem purely, and that's it. You're done. I mean, even if you were to get like Valve's VR system, at least you can still play other VR things with it. That are in
anything that's on the PC, you can get it to work, right?
Right.
There's Revive and other things that let you play Oculus exclusives.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. Our next section is all about Nintendo. Yeah. I'm going to run through these because I have a strong suspicion that neither of you cared or paid any attention to it. Not being Switch owners.
No, there's a couple items that I was interested in, but I'll mention it when you get to it. So
okay. One of the big announcements for me was Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Mario plus Rabbids was one of the weird breakout launch titles for the Switch. It had Ubisoft combining their goofy, weird Rabbids characters who are like evil bunnies with Mario Standby Classics, Peach, Luigi, Mario, etc., Donkey Kong. They get combined by this crazy doctor's, teleporting machine or something, and you end up doing what is a very, very light version of XCOM with these the traditional Mario characters plus their Rabbid counterparts. And it was just damn fun. It was entertaining. It was light. I played through the whole game, beat the entire thing. Really, really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the sequel here. It is coming in 2022 though, so I have a little bit of a wait. Another breakout hit from the Switch was a game called Golf Story. It was an RPG, but your weapon was your golf clubs, and you actually played golf to sort of play the game. It was all on a golf at a golf resort. And they're doing a sequel called Sports Story, which is we got a little bit more information on. They're still working on it. It'll probably be out next year, is the thinking. One of the other new games that was announced, has a new Mario Golf game called Super Rush. So we're going to be seeing that in the coming months. I was not aware of this until I saw it on Nintendo Life, but Hori, who is a Japanese, peripheral manufacturer, they make controllers and things like that for all the different systems. They actually made the equivalent to the Microsoft accessibility controller that's meant for the Switch. So this is really cool. I looked on Amazon Japan and couldn't find this. I couldn't find anywhere in the US, so I don't know if this is just announced. The way that I read it was that it had been out in Japan for a while, but I didn't see any way to actually buy one because I was curious. But that's always exciting when they have more accessibility options.
Yeah, the legendary Hori Hanzo was the finest, Japanese steel joystick maker in Japan history. It's like all the samurais used to get their joysticks from him. Or wait, no, that was Hattori. Never mind.
It's a little different. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a Switch exclusive launching this November. This is the next installment in the Shin Megami Tensei series, which saw the updated port of 3. Shin Megami Tensei 3 just came out recently on PC and Switch. I really wanted to love that game, 3, and struggled because it's very dated in terms of the graphics and the design. But 5 looks pretty cool. It is a new modern game, and so fingers crossed that one looks good. Nintendo is also doing a new Mario Party game called Mario Party Superstars.
Yes.
It's kind of pulling back in a lot of the classic Mario Party stuff. So, Hunter, it sounds like you have some thoughts on this one.
So I've always liked the Mario Party games, and the fact that they're pulling in stuff from the N64 era into the new Mario Party, like some of their menu games and stuff like that, I was really excited about that. I like a return to form. I think that they need to keep pushing the things that have just worked well for them. Except instead of doing like the two things that worked well for them, like start doing more things that worked well for you. Like keep doing the Mario Party stuff. Keep doing the Mario Karts, the Mario Golfs, those things that keep working for you. Keep iterating on them and making them better. And this is where I feel like if they continue to do that, they're gonna do just fine. Speaking of which, the bringing back the Cruisin' IP is not a bad idea either. With Cruisin' Blast coming out this fall on the Switch, I was like, that's actually another appealing thing because I like the arcade Cruisin' games. Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' the World, from back in the day, for example. I loved those, so seeing them do another thing with that is really exciting as well.
Yeah, and Cruisin' Blast is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, by the way. I that was confirmed after the story was published.
Oh, so good. Side note, since you like the Cruisin' games, that Horizon Chase Turbo is going to be free on Epic in like a week or something.
Nice.
Don't miss that. Really good game.
Yeah, it is. We got to see footage of Breath of the Wild 2. No big surprise that's been in development.
So that's one of the big ones I'm waiting for. As a huge Zelda fan, like I'm looking right now, I've got a shelf over here with like almost nothing but Zelda shit on it. Mm-hmm. That for me is gonna be a seller if they can if I can get some more information about it. I'd be willing, potentially willing to get a Switch.
Wow.
Yeah, but where's the Switch Pro? Like,
right?
Did they show it? No.
Nope. No Switch Pro, not now.
Yeah. And the next game on your list, I'm also excited about. I think Jim even mentioned about this, but the new Metroid 5 game is going to be Metroid Dread, and it's a return to form. Classic Metroid. Looks good. Looks real good.
Yeah, and it's a 2.5D style, so you play on a 2D plane, but it's rendered, 3D, so
I love that style. I love it.
Yeah, it's not a look we've seen in Metroid before, but it totally works, and it's a great way to update the game for a modern aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, plus they can do 3D things, like if they want to break the 2D for a moment.
Yeah, and they do. There's actually elements where they do like special, like over the shoulder shots and stuff like that.
So Pokemon Home is the subscription service that lets you take your Pokemon between different games on the different Nintendo iterations of Pokemon and store them and then move them between games, because as you know, I'm sure, you can level up your Pokemon and you can evolve them, and so this is a way to kind of keep working on the same Pokemon over a long period of time.
But they completely fucked up the name, because it should have been Pokemon Center, because that's where you go and dock your Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
In all the Pokemon games. Okay.
The name
that's
is
all
weird.
I know about Pokemon.
In the older version of this service was called Pokemon Bank, which even seemed like a better name. So I don't know. One unique thing about this is you do actually have the home app on your phone, which allows you to do interactions with the Pokemon Go mobile game as well. So
can you call Pikachu to summon him like it's Yakuza?
Sadly, no.
Damn it!
But they are
Pikachu, I call you.
Yeah. Pikachu, get your ass over here. Help me out. They're adding some new features. They're adding some special Pokemon if you use this service. If you play Pokemon, it's probably worth it, but nothing to see here otherwise. A few random mishmash stories.
We don't have to. I was gonna say we don't have to cover all of these, so let's just hit a couple of the big ones, and then I think we'll be good.
Okay. Let's see. Roblox is bad.
Yeah. Just avoid
Roblox,
it.
But
avoid Roblox. Just tell your kids no.
Yeah, agreed. Both CD Projekt Red and EA have been hacked. Source code leaked. Employee details leaked. We may see some things online as a result of that, but whatever. It's not good for them, but I don't think it dramatically affects us. We are getting Overwatch cross-play between consoles and PC very soon.
Kind of a shocker, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is not cross-progression, notably. That is something Blizzard's aware that people want, but they don't have any announcements at this time, is the typical.
I'm just shocked that Blizzard is doing anything cross anything. Well, take that back. They're putting Diablo 2 Resurrected on the Xbox, so that's kind of shocker.
Yeah. Let's see. Facebook, this one pissed me off. Facebook is going to be start testing ads in Oculus games. So, yeah. As if we didn't have enough reason to hate Facebook more, they're going to be start advertising to us. Rockstar is shutting down some old 360 games, GTA 5 and Max Payne 3 specifically. Yes, GTA 5 was originally a 360 game and a PS3 game. Those versions will be shut down and will no longer be able to play GTA Online. So if you're still playing GTA Online on an old console, guess what? It's time to upgrade. That's also true of several of the Need for Speed games, which are also getting shut down on August 31st. So that affects more recent consoles, including PS4 and Xbox One. I think that's probably all the news that's fit to print, unless you feel passionately about one of these other stories.
No, nothing here is all that interesting, honestly. I think that really is going to about cover it. I mean, there's so much more news that's probably going to come that we're going to try and get in our next news show. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to our two-parter that I'm probably going to put these out back to back after I do some minor editing on them. But yeah, we've got all of this and more going on over on our Discord server. So if you go to discord.otherworlds.gg, you can find out more information there, chat with us, hang out with us, play games with us. If you need help setting up your Mister or anything like that, there's those kinds of things too. We're always willing to help people out with game-related items. You can also check out the podcast and any of our other social. If you go to, you actually have to do, because I hate internet and DNS, but if you do www.otherworlds.gg, you can find our link tree information. I'm going to be updating that soon, probably to an actual website where it's going to have all the links and stuff like that, and news articles, and the podcast will get posted there automatically, so that way people can find that too. But you can also get notified when the podcast goes live on our Discord server. A little notification will go out, so there's another place for you to get notified. And you can find our podcast pretty much wherever you get podcasts, more or less. Google, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, all those things, YouTube. So yeah,
fans.
No. But yes, discord.otherworlds.gg. We're still running our giveaway, so come on over, check it out, tell all your friends, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. This has been Back to Back 24 and 25. See you next time.
Yeah.